Yo, what's good, YouTube? Sir Knight here, coming at you with another Marvel Snap video. I wanted to do a quick video just kind of giving my thoughts on Modoc and the impact I think he's going to have on the upcoming season in February. Right now, there's a lot of talk and discussion on Zabu and how busted he is, and how a lot of people didn't quite see it coming. When you review cards before the season comes out, you read a card and you just don't know what kind of impact it's going to have on the meta, right? You can guess, but you're just not 100% sure, right? And so sometimes we can tend to sleep on cards, and then sometimes we can overvalue cards, right? And we can blow them up or overhype them, right? Well, I think Zabu is kind of giving me a little deeper understanding of the impact I think these cards have on the meta. So you have Silver Surfer, who had a major impact on the meta, and then you had Zabu, who had a major impact on the meta. And I think Modoc is going to have a similar impact. I think he's going to be really strong. I think he's going to be strong in the sense of someone like Sarah. I think he's going to be as strong as Sarah. That's kind of my take on it. I think he'll be in a similar place of Sarah, where you don't see Sarah in every single deck, but if you draw her on turn 5, you're probably going to win the game that you're playing. If you're playing Silver Surfer or Sarah Control, if you draw her on turn 5, then you're probably going to win the game, right? And so I think Modoc is very similar. And why I think Modoc has one advantage over Zabu. So right now, Zabu is, if you draw him by turn 3, you win, right? If you play him on curve, then you just basically win the game, right? Because you can just, puke your hand out on the board, and if they're all 4-drops, it doesn't even matter if they're bad 4-drops. If they're 4-drops, they're going to be very strong cards when you run them at 2 cost, right? So Zabu is really strong when you draw him at 3. He's still strong at 4 and not so strong at 5, right? But he could still help you at 5. Modoc is going to be similar in the sense that if you draw him, you win. But what's unique about Modoc is you have 2 more turns to draw him on his curve, right? Where Zabu, if you want to draw him on his curve, you need to draw him by turn 3. Modoc, you have until turn 5, and that's similar to Sarah, right? You have until turn 5 to draw Sarah. I think that's another thing that made Silver Surfer so strong, is that you have until the end of the game to draw Silver Surfer and you can still win, right? That's a huge difference, right? Because of that, you have a 75% chance of drawing Silver Surfer. And if you draw Silver Surfer, you're going to have a high chance of winning too, right? So that's why I think Sarah Surfer is so strong, because you can draw Silver Surfer at the end. And I think Modoc kind of falls into that category as well. You can draw Modoc almost at the turn 6, right? And if you draw a Modoc on turn 5 on curve, you have the whole game to essentially draw him. So you're going to have a high odd chance of drawing Modoc. And when you play Modoc, I think he's just going to generate a crap ton of value for you, right? So if we look at I got a little Modoc deck here. I have it over here on the side in my Marvel Snap client, but just to give you an idea here of the kind of deck that I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to see here, but you have cards in here. I think you're going to do things like develop the board, right? You're going to play Sunspot. I think Sunspot's going to be very good in here because there might be turns that you skip, because you don't really want to play Swarm or Wolverine from your hand. You want them both to be discarded, right? So you might not play a card on turn 2, right? If you draw Mobius, you're going to play Mobius on turn 2. If you draw Scorpion, you're going to play him on turn 2. But you may not be drawing a card on playing a card on turn 2, so Sunspot can just soak up that mana, right, and get a little stronger. But I think you're really just going to be developing the board, not necessarily worried about winning, playing cards like Mobius, right, playing cards like Colleen Wing and Dracula and Lady Sif. Now, I think Colleen Wing is going to be the type of card that you can have that's a good discard. Same with Lady Sif. There's lots of bad cards in the game. If we look over here in the client and we look at Sorry about that. If you look at some of the discards in the game, like Blade, he's not a very good discard card, right? Because he discards anything from your hand, and so it leaves way too much up to chance, right? You can hit or you could not hit, and you're happy or sad, and you're never gonna have a great win rate with a deck like this, card like this. Same with like Gambit, same with Hellcow, and same with Swordmaster. Swordmaster is strong though because he's the same exact power as Hellcow. He costs one less, but both these cards randomly discard from your hand. They're not targeting anything specific, right? But Colleen Ween here, she targets your lowest card, right? So you can easily manipulate that with Swarm of Wolverine, right? You're going to play these cards on curve. You're going to play Sunspot, Iceman, Morbius. You're going to be playing these cards from your hand. So when you have Colleen, you're not going to really be worried too much about hitting some combo piece like Modoc or, Dracula. You're not going to be worried about discarding cards like that from your hand because you can hit your lowest. Same with Lady Sif. You're probably going to hit your highest cost cards, which you're looking to hit Apocalypse, right? And so you're hoping to draw Apocalypse early so you can draw Lady Sif and discard that over and over again and not hit anything else. So you have like really safe discard fodder, and every time you discard, Morbius grows, right? So you're just kind of developing the board. You have Morbius out there, you have, a couple 1-drops out there, and then you play Dracula on a lane, right? And then like you may be behind right now, but at the end of the game, you're gonna explode for a huge amount of value, right? Because let's say you draw Modoc on 5 and you have Apocalypse in your hand, you're going to discard all these cards from your hand. You're going to discard Apocalypse, you're going to discard Swarm, you're going to discard Wolverine. That's going to give Morbius like huge power. And then on turn 6, and you're adding Wolverine to the board. So on Modoc's turn, you're adding 8 power plus 3 plus however many cards you discard for Mobius. That's going to be like a 15 to 20 power turn, right? And then when it comes to turn 6, you're going to either play Apocalypse or America Chavez, right? And you have America Chavez in the deck because that's going to also increase your chance of drawing Modoc, right? On curve. And all these other cards you want to draw on curve, right? So you're going to play Modoc on turn 5. If you draw it on curve, like I was saying before with Zabu, you have until turn 5 to draw your Modoc. And then you play Modoc, and you're going to discard all these cards, and you're going to have 2 0-mana Swarms in your hand. You're going to have like a 12 or 16 power Apocalypse, and you're going to have like a 9 power, Dracula. So turn 6 is going to be like 30 power as well. So you're going to be developing like 50 power over the course of the game in just like your final 2 turns, So you really don't care you don't care if you have like all these other cards in your hand when you play Modoc. Like you don't really care, right? Because really all you care about is just discarding Swarm of Wolverine and getting Apocalypse discarded, because that's all you're going to play in the final turn anyways. You're going to play Apocalypse, and then you're going to play like your 2 0-mana Swarms. So for 0 mana you get 6 power, and then your Apocalypse should be at least 12 to 16. Right? And then you draw America Chavez for your Dracula to discard. Or you could play America Chavez and let Dracula discard Apocalypse if you need to win that lane, right? Like maybe you need more power than 9 in the Dracula lane to win, so you can just choose to play America Chavez in a different lane, right? Maybe the same lane you play your Swarm, and now you added 15 power to that lane, and you're adding another 15 power to Dracula's lane, like 16 power. You're adding 30 power to 2 different lanes. That's going to be really hard for your opponent to overcome, right? Not to mention all the other power you developed as you were waiting to get to Modoc. Right, so I just have a feeling people are going to get really, really annoyed at seeing Modoc turn 5. It's really going to be strong. It's going to be even stronger than Sarah. Like honestly, right now, Sarah is pretty much people scoop. They retreat the moment that Sarah's played. Like I think that's going to be similar with Modoc. Like, people are just going to give up. The moment they see Modoc play, they're just going to retreat. right? Because they know that the final turn is going to be like an enormous amount of power. Okay, so I just think that people might be underestimating Modoc just a little bit. Not in the sense that you can't play Modoc in like all these different decks, right? But Zabu decks look pretty similar, right? You have a whole bunch of 4-drops. That's kind of like its own archetype. It's just a 4-drop deck, right? Well, you're just gonna have lots of people playing Modoc, playing a discard deck. You might have 50% of the meta playing Modoc. I wouldn't be surprised, because once you play Modoc on curve, and like I said, you have 2 more turns to draw Modoc, you just snap and you play Modoc, and odds are you're gonna have a really high chance of winning. Especially if they nerf Zabu and you can't do like the double Spider-Man lock, you know? I don't know. I just think it's going to be really strong. So those are my thoughts on Modoc. I think people are underestimating the fact that you have until turn 5 to draw it. That means you're going to be playing Modoc a high percentage of the time. And he's even stronger than Sarah when he's played, in my opinion. And so you're going to have a really, really great time winning. I really always recommend buying the Battle Pass. And I think you guys will see it's really strong. Now, unfortunately, I don't have Calling Wing, and I don't even have Dracula. I don't own these cards. That's why if you look over here at my deck, I'm missing 3 cards. I'm missing Modoc, I'm missing Calling Wing, and I'm missing Dracula. Right? But those are the kind of cards I think you're going to need if you want to really have the best Modoc deck, right? Because what's cool about, you know, this deck is you can develop power without even having your Modoc on board. You know, you can develop Dracula, you can develop Morbius, and you have a ton of power already on board before you've even drawn your Modoc. It's already set up in place, you know? So I think Modoc's going to be a great card. I wanted to give my insights on it before it came out, and I look forward to playing with it. If you guys have any thoughts or ideas about this card, you think I'm getting something wrong about this card, let me know. Am I missing something about this card? Maybe something even better. But I really think like this type of deck with only a few discards, maybe just like Lady Sif and Calling Wing, that's it, and then Modoc is going to be really strong. None of the random discard cards, just the ones that target, and it's going to be a really strong deck in my opinion. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. If you're enjoying Marvel Snap as much as I am, toss it a like, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.